Try to make their day better. Amen. And you know something? It's easy to do. We might think it's not, but it is. And let me explain to you how it's easy. Stop being so selfish.
Amen.
Stop thinking about me, and then me some more. Amen. If we think about us all the time, we're not going to think about the feelings of others.
Right.
Stop thinking about you and start thinking about others. Amen. That's what God expects us to do, folks. This is not an option. This is not like, well, if you want to be a good Christian, you have to do this. No, if you want to be a Christian, you have to do that.
Yeah.
Amen. Don't go around talking about how you love Jesus and you hate your fellow man.
Right.
The Word of God says, how can you say you love God whom you've not seen and hate your brother whom you see?
Yeah.
That's what James said. Amen. So we look and we see that peace, long-suffering. How many of you know what long-suffering means? Long-suffering. You suffer long.
Continuously.
Amen. You endure hardship.
Constantly.
Amen.
Yeah.
We don't want to suffer. But if you don't suffer, you can't reign.
That's right.
Can I say that again?
Yeah.
Dennis, are you listening to me? If you don't suffer, you can't reign.
That's right.
Jesus said, in order to reign with me, you must suffer with me. Do you know of any suffering that Jesus may have gone through? Hello?
Yeah.
He came unto his own received him not. That's suffering right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about the crucifixion. We're not even talking about the beating.
Right.
We're not talking about the prayer where the blood came out because of the anguish. He came to his own. How many of you have come to your own and they rejected you?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you bore a child. You love that child, you sacrificed that child, you gave everything for that child. And then that child grew up and rejected you. Amen?
Yeah.
And we've all had that. They may not totally reject us, but they have moments. Every one of us had a moment when the kids just didn't act right.
I'm still.
My poor mother did.
I'm still.
My poor mother had a lot of those moments. Amen?
Me too.
See, my mother knew how to push my buttons, and I didn't put a guard around the button. Are you listening to me?
Yep.
I put my mother through a lot, and I'm sorry I did. But I thank God the last 10 or 15 years of her life, we become best friends, and we got along very well. We were always best friends, but we were best friends that was always arguing. But the last 10 or 15 years, we rarely argue.
Yeah.
I remember just the night before she had her stroke, we were at the, she wanted to buy me tires. I had that Lincoln and needed tires bad. And we took the car out, and she had bought me 2 tires. And I said, well, just buy 2, we'll be all right. We bought 2, and then a few weeks later, I realized it was all over the road. I said, we may need to get the other. So we went out, we bought 2 more tires. And we're standing there, and she's like, she wasn't feeling well, she's leaning up against the counter. And the man had walked in the back, and she came back, and I said, Mom, when that man comes back, don't be leaning against the counter. She looked at me and said, I'm not a child, Tim. Said, I'm not stupid. I know not to lean up against it if the man's there. And I said, okay, Mom, okay. So anyway, I said, go over and sit down. She went and sit down. Well, we got up, and I said, come on, let's go. I'm going to buy us something to eat. So we go to the food court, and she's still mad at me because of what I said, and she's starting to run her mouth at me. And I looked at her, and my first thought, baby, was to tell her to shut up. I got ready, I went, and then it dawned on me. The Lord spoke to me. He said, you don't know how long your mother's going to be here. I didn't know she'd be gone the next day.
Oh, my kids.
She actually died officially a week later, but she had her stroke the next day and was brain dead.
Oh my
I looked
God.
at her and I says, Mom, I said, let's not argue. Let's go get something to eat and enjoy ourselves. And she stopped and smiled and said, yeah, you're right. And I'm so happy.
Yeah.
The next day, my mom had a stroke. I would have remembered that the rest of my life, that the last thing I told her was shut up.
Yeah, that would have hurt you bad.
See, we're human. We make mistakes. We do stupid stuff.
Sure we do.
And I'm sure you tell her to shut up all the time, and you have.
She
I'm just joking.
knows better.
I'm just joking. That's
She
me.
knows better.
That's me that's always telling her that. No, I'm just joking. But you know, we're human. Sometimes we do things that we shouldn't do. Amen.
God told me to shut up one time.
Yeah, I prayed that he would. No, I'm just joking. I'm being silly. Long suffering. I'm trying to hurry. It's almost 1:30. Long suffering. Gentleness. Gentleness. Do you know the word gentleman comes from this fruit of the Spirit? You can't be a gentleman without the gentleness, without the fruit of the Spirit.
Right.
Right.
Amen. Being gentle. Being gentle. You know, my daughter was talking to someone on the phone yesterday. And she was talking about, I don't know what they were talking about, but she's talking, and she said, you know, when my girls were little, I never left them with anybody. She said, I left them with my father, and I left them with my husband. She said, and the reason I left them with my father is because I was left with my father, and he never hurt me. So I knew I could trust him to never hurt my girls.
Oh,
Amen.
yeah.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Gentle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's just something about babies you want to be gentle with.
Right.
Even when they're screaming, you have to be gentle with them.
Right. Right.
Amen. Goodness. Do I need to explain goodness?
No.
Being good. I was sharing with them last week how my granddaughter was 2 years old, and Jerry was, he only had like 3 jobs in his whole life. You know, I mean, as growing up. One was to load the dishwasher. The other was to unload the dishwasher, to put the pans and stuff up under the counter. The other was to take the garbage outside, and then once a week take it out. And then in the summer, cut the grass. And everything he did, he half did it. Then I would make him do it over, and he complained that I was making him do it over all the time. I said, do it right the first time, you won't have to do it the second time.
Right.
So he's sitting there, I told him, I opened up the cabinet, and all the pans come popping out. Where he just shoved them in there.
That sounds
I
like
said-
my
I
granddaughter.
said, get in there, organize those pans, put them in there right. He's sitting there, and he's putting them in, he's grumping. And Talia, 2 years old, she walks over to him, and she looked at him in the face, and she said, stop being mean.
Out of the mouth of
Out of
babes.
the mouth of
Yes.
babes. That's what someone said last week.
Yeah.
Stop being mean. That's what being good is. Stop being mean. Do the opposite of what you feel like doing sometimes. Hello? Goodness. God's called us to goodness. They said, oh, good master. He said, why do you call me good? There's none good but God. He wasn't saying he wasn't good. He was just saying that all goodness comes from God. So if you want to be recognized as a child of God, you must walk in goodness.
Yes.
Dennis, are you walking in goodness?
I'm trying to. It's hard.
Amen. I'm going to get you a Bible for you to look at while we're preaching.
I forgot to bring mine.
All right, we'll bring it next week. Leave your math book at home. Faith. It says faith, but in reality it means faithfulness.
Yeah.
We're talking about being faithful. To do what God called you to do.
Yes.
No matter how difficult it may be. No matter if you're by yourself on your own. Be faithful.
Right.
I want you to know something. God didn't tell you to be faithful as your neighbor. He wants you to be faithful even in their unfaithfulness. Amen? Faithfulness means that you come to church.